Okay, guys, things are getting worse and worse, and the chicken and egg issue right now is going to skyrocket. It's also going to get a lot harsher. Let me tell you why. Okay, so for those of you that have been living under a rock, the chicken and egg issue right now is we have chickens that have gone up in price because we had the avian flu and they had to kill a bunch of them. We have had eggs that have skyrocketed in price 200-300%, and a lot of that comes from the avian flu. A lot of that comes from chicken factories getting burned down randomly and without purpose, right? That's what we're led to believe. I realize my tinfoil hat's on right now, but it's a little too coincidental, and I don't believe in that many coincidences. So, and it's like that. What's that line on Shooter where he says, "Good things sometimes or bad things happen to good people," and he's like, "Not that quick, they don't." You know, it's kind of the same sort of thing. Like, there's something else going on here. I don't know exactly what, but whatever. Anyways. The other issue that we're dealing with right now is the feed issue with chickens. We're finding out that feed has a lot to do with it. And if you follow the money, which there are videos online that have, it looks like Purina, who makes a lot of the chicken feed that you buy at like Tractor Supply and stuff like that. It looks like Purina also owns some of the larger chicken egg factories. So, okay, what are they doing? They can change, guys, they can change anything they want in those ingredients to make your chickens less productive, right? They can lower the protein and the calcium count. And calcium is not something generally that people look at on their minerals on the back of the bag. So they would say, oh, the protein count's still the same. Well, they can drop the calcium count. The chickens need calcium to produce the eggs. And it's a micronutrient, not a macronutrient, so they don't look at it quite as in depth. And so there are ways substantially of reducing egg production without changing a lot in the feed, just changing a minuscule amount that doesn't show up necessarily in the label, or that does show up in the label and you don't pay attention to it. So I certainly attribute a lot of that to this feed issue. Now, we by our nature, we don't like to support larger organizations like that. So we buy all of our feed from Tucker Milling. It's a much better quality feed. It's here locally in Alabama, and that's where we purchase all of our feed from. You're welcome to purchase from where you like, but we like to purchase locally from quality mills around here, and there are ways around that. If we didn't have them, we'd be looking at, there's Mennonite communities south of us that they apparently have mills, like old-fashioned water mills and stuff like that they produce on and they do sell, and we would be looking at going down there and getting some. So there are a number of options out there. You may have an Amish community out there, and that's a great way of getting some. So Amish and Mennonite communities will still produce a lot of their own grains on a small scale, and they'll sell them. So you can oftentimes get good quality grains from them. So keep that in mind. If you're having trouble in your area finding somebody, go look those up, and you can oftentimes find somebody that does it. So they don't advertise on Google though, so you got to go around and ask. It's a little bit more old-fashioned. Okay, now the egg issue. Why do I think this egg issue is going to get worse? Well, the egg issue is going to get worse because of the government's involvement in this. Now, whether you believe the government is there to help, which if you do, you're probably not watching this channel. So if you believe that the government is there to help, then that's your belief, and that's fine. But the reality of it is that the government is there to get in the way in the name of public safety and a misguided sense of public safety, or they are there for the purpose of corruption on the part of the individual that works for the government. Let's just put it that way. So I have very, very little faith in our federal government to accomplish anything correctly. And that comes to the USDA, right? The USDA is not there to help you. There was a farmer that I read about recently, and he had 3,000 chickens, and he got avian flu in his chicken flock, and it killed all but 250 of them. Now, instead of encouraging him to breed those 250 chickens that now have a natural resistance and immunity to avian flu, they mandated that he destroy them. Now, he's a commercial farmer, so he was probably going to anyways, but it's just an interesting concept that the reaction that we have is to destroy the survivors rather than to save and breed the survivors that would now have a natural resistance and a natural immunity to this, which is why the egg issue is going to get worse, because we've lost a bunch. The government is now stepping in to tell people to kill the remainder. And Purina also is inhibiting our chicken feed to the point that chicken feed, the quality is diminishing, and we're seeing lower production of eggs on small scale. So you're going to have to get more chickens to get that production of eggs that you want. Now, if you don't believe me that Purina is doing this, I would encourage you to do one thing. I would encourage you to let your chickens out and let them free range and see what you get. Free range, you get the absolute lowest amount of production that you can possibly get. But we've done it in the past, and for about a year actually, we didn't feed our chickens and we let them free range entirely. Every single day they were let out. I shouldn't say we didn't feed them at all. We would occasionally feed them, like if we were going on vacation or something, we had to lock them up. But for the most part, for that year, they free range. Now our egg production dropped substantially. We had to have more birds, but at the same time, we weren't feeding, so it didn't really matter that we had more birds. It didn't make any difference at all. So there are ways of doing this, and that should be the absolute lowest standard, is how many eggs you're producing on that feed. And we're hearing stories, and legitimate stories, not just incidents that are skewed by the perceptive of the individual. We're seeing legitimate stories from chicken farmers, small-time chicken farmers that feed a lot of this type of feed, and they're having issues where they're going 6 months without a single egg coming out, which basically puts them out of business. And I think that is a substantial problem. So we're seeing a lot of small-time chicken farmers having trouble getting feed, which is also going to cause feed at like Tucker Milling to go up, right? Because as more and more people start realizing that, hey, we can't buy the Purina crap at Tractor Supply, they're going to start looking at these other mills nearby, these smaller mills that are just by the nature, it's a supply and demand thing. They're going to have too much demand, so they're going to have to increase the price on it. That's the way business works. So, guys, I want you guys to keep that in mind, that this chicken and egg issue is not over. It is going to get worse. Now is a great time to get backyard chickens going and figuring out how you're going to do that. There are ways of creating your own feed for them. Don't let anybody fool you into the fact that you have to have chicken feed from the store. Chickens have survived a long time without chicken feed. In fact, if we look at it in Hawaii, chickens live naturally on the island of Hawaii, right? They're all over the place. Anybody that's ever been there can tell you chickens are all over the place. It's because they've escaped and they bred, and that there's no real natural predators for them. So they're all over the place in Hawaii naturally. So you see a cockroach pop up from underneath a rock and you see the chickens just swarm it. It's kind of funny. My dad's got videos of that. Those are just hysterical. But the simple fact is, chickens can survive a lot. Birds are very tough. They do not have to have the Purina One chow, whatever it is that you're getting. They can survive on a lot less and do substantially better. We've learned this by making our own dog food here on the farm. We don't. I realize it only saves us $20 or $30 a month. It's not that big a deal, but the simple fact is that it's substantially healthier for the dogs. So we do make a lot of our own dog food. We don't make all of it because we don't have enough scraps, but we do make a substantial amount. Probably, I'd say in the neighborhood of 50% of our own dog food. So. I want you guys to consider that. I want you guys to consider getting with small farmers to purchase your eggs and your chickens if you're not able to do it yourself. But there is a lot to go into building a small homestead in a subdivision, and you can do it. And you can raise eggs, and you can help be a solution to this problem, and I would encourage you to do so. So anyways, guys, I'm gonna let y'all go with that. I'm gonna post some links to some articles that I can't talk about in this video down below, because there's articles down there that I will get shadow banned on. Articles talking about the actual health benefits of eggs, as opposed to this newfangled theory that certain news administrations are putting forward that eggs are bad for you, even though we've known eggs to be good for us forever, right? I've got medical journal articles I'm gonna post down in the description below so that y'all can see that, and you can see eggs are healthy for you. Don't let anyone convince you that they're not. That's stupid, and it's just an asinine statement. Eggs are very good for you, and I'm not gonna entertain that notion at all. So guys, I'm gonna let y'all go with that. I really appreciate y'all watching. Make sure and like and subscribe to the channel if you've not already done so. I apologize, I know we're still under construction here, so apologize for the field of view in the background, but we'll catch y'all later.